Welcome to CIE past paper. So today I will be solving O-level economics from the May June 2022 series variant 1-2. So before we start, I'm gonna quickly show you the grade threshold for this paper. So for this paper, as you can see, I've already highlighted. A was at 22, B was at 19, and C was at 17, D at 14, and E at 12. So yeah, this paper was fairly easy. Let's get on with it. All right, so the first question is asking for an example of a free good. Now, what is a free good? A free good is something that does not require any factor of production to be produced. So, for A, B, and C, all of these three requires factors of production. Thus, this cannot be the answer. So, the correct option is D, sunshine, because we get it from the sun, it's present naturally. All right. Number two, a student has nothing to do on a Friday evening. She withdraws $5 from the $100 she has in a savings account and buys a present to take to a party, to which admission is free. Now, what does this involve? An opportunity cost equals to 95. No, this is not the true because this $95 has nothing to do with the opportunity cost because it is staying with her. So A is not the answer. Number B, an opportunity cost equals to other goods she could have bought for $5. Now, I will come back to this later on. Let's move on to number C. No opportunity cost as entrance to the party is free. This is not true because at that time she had nothing to do. She it was free for her. She was having free time, so she didn't have something better to do. So this is not the option. And D is also not the option. So the correct option is B because the opportunity cost equal to other goods she could have bought for $5, which means using this $5 to buy a present, she could have instead used this $5 to buy something else. Maybe she could have bought a book for herself or something, anything that she wanted. So the correct option is B. Number three, the diagram shows two production possibility curves for a country. So K and L, these are the two production possibility curves. So what might cause a shift from K to point L in the country's production? So as you can see, the PPC has shifted outwards, right? So this is only the case if your overall output has increased. So a change in what consumer wants to buy is not going to affect your overall output, and a recession is gonna actually reduce your output. So this is also not the answer. More investment, yes, if you invest more, your output's gonna increase. So this is a possible answer. And number D, the use of previously unemployed resources. Now, this is also not true because the use of previously unemployed resources would mean that previously we're at a point inside this region and then after you have employed all the resources you have moved on to this part of the PPC. All right, so since you are actually having a shift that's outward, so D is not the option. More investment is the way to go because your output's increasing and you are also operating at your maximum capacity at L. Which relationship would be studied by an economist specializing in macroeconomics? So, macroeconomics is the part of economics that deals with the entire economy. So, the relationship between inflation rate and unemployment rate. So, this is something that macroeconomy deals with. I mean, macroeconomics. So, number A is the correct option. So, number five, what is a possible disadvantage of the free market system? You have to state a disadvantage, a decreased incentive to work. This is not true. In fact, in a free market, the incentive would be even higher because producers wants to maximize their profit. So this is not the option. Decreased levels of pollution. No, decreased level of pollution cannot be a disadvantage, right? It's gonna be an advantage. And this is also not the case because in a free market system, it does not account for any external cost, and pollution is an external cost. So there would be an increase in level of pollution, not decrease. So B is also not the answer. And increased efficiency, yes, it is true, it's an advantage, it's not a disadvantage. Therefore, the only option we are left with is number D, increased inequality of income. What will cause the demand curve for a good to shift to the right? So you want your demand curve to shift to the right? So when does this happen? A decrease in disposable income? No, it's gonna cause your demand curve to shift towards the left. A decrease in the price of a complement good. All right. A decrease in the price of a substitute good. Decrease in the price of a substitute good would also cause your demand curve to shift towards the left because people are gonna buy more of that good. They're gonna be substituting your good with their with the substitute, right? So this is also not the answer. A decrease in the price of a good. See, a decrease does not indicate any shift in the demand curve, rather it involves a movement in the demand curve. So this is also not the answer. And B is the correct option because a decrease in the price of a complement good means complement good means goods that have joint demand, right? So if the demand for one increases, the demand for another is gonna increase. So due to a decrease in price, the demands of the complement good is gonna increase, and this is gonna cause a shift in the demand curve towards the right. So number 7, in the diagram, which demand curve has perfectly elastic demand? So for someone to have perfectly elastic demand for a good, the demand curve has to be horizontal. So the option is D. Number 8, the table shows the demand and supply schedule for rice. The current price is $2 per kilo. Okay. What will happen if the price is reduced to $1 per kilo? So currently it's at $2 per kilo. All right, and it's gonna be reduced to $1 per kilo. It's gonna be over here. So previously, the quantity demanded was 10 million tons, and the quantity supplied was 25. So there was an excess at this point. Okay, and when it's reduced, the quantity demanded is 30 and the quantity supplied is only 15, so you are left with a shortage. So what will happen if the price is reduced to $1 per kilo? The demand schedule will lift to the no, this is not true. The market will move from shortage to surplus. No, the market's gonna move from surplus to shortage. So B is also not the option. The market will move from surplus to shortage. So C is the correct option. So number 9, the diagram shows the fixed cost, variable cost, and total cost of a firm at output S. So this is the output at S. So which distance represents the firm's variable cost? So firstly is PQ. PQ, this much, no, this is not the option because the variable cost is up is this is the variable cost line, right? From zero, starting from zero. So it's gonna be QS. So the answer is D. PS is also not gonna be the answer because this is the firm's total cost and this is the firm's fixed cost, and firm's variable cost is gonna start at zero because if you produce no unit, if your output is at zero, your variable cost is also gonna be zero. So the answer is D. Number 10. What could cause profits to be high in a monopoly market? So barriers to entry, diseconomies of scale, elastic demand for the product, high number of substitutes for the product. So if there is high number of substitutes for the product, how can this be a monopoly market? So this is not the answer. Elastic demand, is if you charge high price, so what's going to happen is your total revenue is going to fall, so you cannot make high profit. So this is not the option as well, and these economies of scale is going to increase your cost. So this is also not the answer. So the only viable option is A, barriers to entry, which means it satisfies the criteria for a monopoly market because um, the barriers to entry is high, so a firm cannot just enter in the market. So there's going to be a few producers, and this would leave them the chance to exploit the consumers. It's number 11. Which firm is most likely to be classified as a small firm in the tertiary sector? So there are two keywords here. One is small firm and another is tertiary sector. A firm, it does not operate in the tertiary sector. A hairdresser, yes. She is providing service, right? A hairdresser, it's providing service. So it does fall into the tertiary sector, and it is also a small firm. So B is the option. Number 12. Germany is considered a capital intensive. See, this is a keyword, capital intensive economy, while Indonesia is considered a labor intensive economy. So what does this mean about the economies of Germany and Indonesia? A capital is relatively cheaper than labor in Germany, while labor is relatively cheaper than capital in Indonesia. True. This is true. So this is gonna be the answer. Because since Germany is a capital intensive economy, uh, the cost of labor is gonna be high, right? Because entire production process is dependent on capital equipment, so generally the capital cost will be low. But in Indonesia, uh, the reverse is true because there are a lot of labor because it's a labor intensive economy, so the cost of labor is cheaper than capital. Okay. Number 13, a bank continues to operate loss-making branches. Which objective is the bank trying to achieve? So growth, no. This is not true because if you're trying to achieve growth, then why would you operate loss-making branches? It does not make any sense. Efficiency, no. It's inefficient, right? Profit maximization, no. Because you are operating loss-making branches. How can you maximize your profit? So D is the only option, social welfare. Number 14, the table shows how three people X, Y, and Z can spend their income. So X spends 30% on food, food, clothing, and housing, 30%, entertainment and leisure, 35%, luxury goods, 35%. For person Y, food, clothing, and housing is 25%, entertainment and leisure 35%, luxury good 40%. And person Z, he's spending most of his income on uh, food, clothing, and housing. And entertainment and leisure, he spends the least proportion of income. So, what is likely the order of income from lowest income to highest income for these three people? So, if you can um, understand this, that food, clothing, and household, these are all essential goods, so these must be fulfilled first. And a person who is spending most of their income in fulfilling the basic needs obviously indicates that his income is limited. So person Z is the poorest. So from lowest income to highest income, it's gonna be Z first, so A and B is gone. So after Z, if you see luxury goods, this is something which only the rich people can buy. And a person Y is spending 40% of his income on luxury goods. So he's the richest. So Y is gonna be at last. So C is the correct option. Number 15. Which activity is correctly linked to the organization that provides it? Central bank regulate the rate of inflation. Central bank set direct tax rules. No, it does not set direct tax rules. That's the objective of the government, right? No. Commercial bank manage. No, this is the central bank's work. Safeguard countries. No, this is also the central bank's work. So the only option is A because it sets the interest rate. Central bank sets the interest rate, so interest rate can regulate the rate of inflation. Number 16, the chart shows government spending in a year. What was the total government spending on public goods? So, what are public goods? Public goods. Let's see. Defense, law and order, social security, and welfare. So, these are the. Sorry, this is social security and welfare. This is not public good because it's uh, it's given out to only specific individual, right? Those who are in need of social security and welfare. So it's only gonna be law and order and defense. So if you sum them up, it's gonna be 7,440 million. So the answer is C. Number 17. A government levies a specific tax on the supply of cigarettes. So the supply of cigarettes is gonna shift to the left. At the same time, it starts a campaign to explain the health risk of smoking cigarettes. So the demand curve is also going to shift towards the left. So which diagram illustrates the effect on the demand and supply of cigarettes? A and B is wrong because it does not show any shift in demand curve. And D1, D2 right, it does show, and S1 to S1 and S2 right. So C is the option. A government wishes to pursue an expansionary monetary policy. So what should it do? So the government is trying to pursue expansionary monetary policy, which means it's gonna lower the rate of interest. So D is the option. A government introduced a series of economic measures. What is a supply side policy measure? Building more affordable homes to improve labor mobility. Yes, this can be. Let's see the other options. Controlling consumer spending to reduce inflation. This does not come under supply side policy, but rather demand side policy. Lowering interest rate to encourage purchase of expensive goods. Again, demand side policy. Raising pensions to help. Again, demand side policy. So A is the answer. What is identified as an economic growth? Fall in labor productivity. No, it's not an indicator of economic growth. An increase in the productive capacity of the economy. This is the correct option. An increase in the consumer price index? No, this means the country is suffering from inflation, so it cannot identify economic growth. And the economy enters a period of recession. Obviously, recession is contradictory to growth. So the D is also not the answer. Number 21. The retail trade in a country has unemployed workers in one region and job vacancies in another region. What could explain this? Costs of employing workers are lower when there is unemployment. Yes, this is true, but this does not explain the situation that the country is facing. So A is not the answer. It's more expensive to live in the area where the retail jobs are available. This is true because um, since the people have jobs, so their income is high, so their expenditure is also high, and their consumption is also high. So obviously, it's gonna be more expensive. So B is the correct option. Number 22, a country wishes to reduce the level of inflation. So, which combination of policy measures will be most successful? So, policy measure one, decreasing exchange rates and increasing interest rate. No, this is not true because you want to reduce the level of inflation. So when you decrease exchange rates, it's not going to help you to reduce the level of inflation. Okay. Decrease interest rate. Decreasing interest rate will encourage more spending in the economy, so it cannot reduce the level of inflation. Increase government spending, again contradictory to the point of the question. So C is also not the answer. Increase interest rate, yes, it's gonna help you reduce the level of inflation, and decrease government spending. Both are contractionary monetary and fiscal policy, which are actually the tools that government use to reduce inflation. So D is the answer. So number 23, a government wants to reduce both its budget deficit and the amount of poverty in its country, right? So budget deficit as well as the poverty. So how can the government achieve? Decreasing rate of progressive income tax. This will not allow the government to reduce its budget deficit, but rather increase. So no, is not gonna be the answer. Decreasing government spending on welfare benefits. Yes, this will help to reduce budget deficit, but this is not gonna help to reduce poverty in its country. Increase the rate of progressive income tax. And increasing government spending on welfare benefits is just gonna increase budget deficit. So C is the only option because you are increasing the rate of progressive income tax. So the lower income people will not be paying more. Rather, the higher income people will be paying more. So this is one way of reducing poverty in the country. And also, it's gonna reduce the budget deficit. So number 24, which components in addition to GDP per head are included in the Human Development Index? Average earnings, it's not included. Balance of trade and balance of payment, it is not included. Life expectancy at birth and expected years of schooling, yes, it is included in HDI. Size of population and age structure is not included. What is likely to cause an immediate decrease in the size of the labor force? A fall in average size of families is not going to cause an immediate decrease. A fall in the birth rate, again, not going to cause an immediate decrease. See, you have to emphasize on the word immediate over here. A reduction in the age of retirement, yes, it's going to immediately affect, because as soon as you reduce the age of retirement, people crossing those age will not be employed anymore. So the labor pool is going to be shrink down. So C is the correct option. 26, the table shows some economic indicators which increase in the first indicator is most likely to lead to an increase in the second indicator. So if one indicator increases, the second indicator must also increase. That is the condition that the question has provided. So let's see what is the correct option. Budget surplus and consumer saving is if budget surplus increases, consumer saving will not increase. So A is not the option. Consumer spending increases, unemployment is not gonna increase, rather it's gonna decrease. Inflation increases, trade surplus will decrease. So productivity increases, living standards also increases. This is true. The price of a currency in a fixed exchange rate system is reduced. See the fixed exchange rate, it's important. So what is this called? This is called devaluation. If it was a floating exchange rate, then we would have called it depreciation. But since it's a fixed exchange rate system, we're going to call it devaluation. 28. A government removed the quota on goods imported into the country. So it has removed a trade barrier. So what is the most likely result of this? A decrease in demand for domestic product? Yes, this is the correct option, because people are gonna buy more important imported goods. So your demand for the domestic product is gonna fall. Number 29. What is most likely to result from a reduction in the value of a country's currency if there are no other changes in the economy? No other changes, right? So, trade in goods surplus will fall. No, this is not the answer. Export prices will rise. This is also not true. Import prices will rise. Yes, this is the correct option. So it's gonna be C. The governments of low-income countries often allow foreign multinational companies to mine minerals in their country. Okay. So which conflict between benefit and cost might cause the low income? So what is the benefit and cost, right? Benefit and cost, you have to understand. So what is the benefit? Improved balance of trade. Not necessarily, because the multinational company is gonna send their profit to their home country, so it's gonna have a negative impact on the balance of trade. Okay. Higher employment. Yes, this is true. You're gonna have high employment in your country. Increased profit for the MNCs. So how is it beneficial for you? It is not beneficial for you. More sustainable development, perhaps, but if you see the cost is economic growth. Economic growth cannot be a cost. So D is also not the option. B is the option because loss of a finite resource is a cost. So the correct option is B, and we are done. We are done with this paper. So yeah, it was fairly an easy paper from the May June 2022 series. So see you in the next video. Thank you.